Hey doctor, Dr. Michael here. Welcome back to another video. Well, today I am going to be doing something that I've seen a lot of YouTubers do. I'm going to be reacting to videos. And you're wondering, what's with the mask? I am going to let you know, I am not going to be showing my face unless I get 1,000 subscribers. So, if you want to enjoy the content I make on this channel and want to see my face, make sure to subscribe. Also, like and also leave a comment what you think. Now, hang on. Okay, anyways, sorry about that. Now, I'll be reacting to stories that are animated that, main topic is them being rich. But first, I'll be starting off with something I really like. It's called Allergic to Water. And this is remastered after 20 plus million views. So, here we go. Here. Now, please forgive my liking this. Not everything has to be very entertainment. So, yeah, here's my reaction.
Story is about my disgusting classmate Pablo. He always hit on me, saying things like, "Hey, pretty girl, too bad that your parents are poor. But don't worry, I can change that. Just come."
Okay, dude, I don't know what your problem is, but can you try not to hit on a woman and because, she's poorer than you, okay? That's not nice, and you're definitely not gonna get married with that kind of attitude.
By my house tonight. It didn't matter how many times I told him to stop, it just got worse. And
Oh, I know that feeling. Now, guys, let me be a bit interested right now. Quick lesson about me. See, when I was in my public school, my last public school, there was this kid called Amadeo who just annoyed me, kept calling me Tom the Train. He did every day, made me very mad. And every time I told him to stop, he wouldn't stop. There's also this girlfriend named Kara who is mean to me, and one day she poured water on my head. But now she's gonna be in my new class when the school year comes, but I think she changed. So yeah.
no one dared to put him in his place because his dad was a powerful politician.
Yeah, I don't care if you're a powerful politician, I just don't care.
You see, I live in Honduras and our government is very corrupt. If you stood up to Pablo, he could tell his dad about it and you would be beaten up or worse.
I don't like where this is going right now.
When I was 17, I suddenly developed a water allergy. The doctors didn't know why, but whenever water touched my skin, it burned like acid. I made an announcement to my class, telling them to be careful and not to throw any water at me because I'd get badly hurt. But of course, Pablo didn't believe it.
I just feel like he is the meanest person I've ever seen. Sorry, I thought my mother was at the door.
He said, "Lily's just looking for an excuse not to have to shower anymore." Then he dipped his fingers into the water bucket and splashed water in my face. I screamed and desperately tried to wipe the water off my face, but it was too late. Small rashes came up all over my skin and it was so painful. Pablo still didn't believe me though and said I had created the rashes by scratching my face with my fingernails.
Well, he is a YouTube? CEO of YouTube, if you listening to this, can you let me get away with any swearing? Because I have a bit of a gamer rage, so yeah. And I am also artistic, so I may have a hard time holding back my bad mouth. But yeah. Please forgive me for saying this YouTube, but Pablo is just a bitch. He's an asshole and he's a bitch. I said it.
Luckily though, after class was over, my crush Simon came over saying, "Sorry that Pablo treats you like that. He's a jerk. Are you okay?"
Someone's guy, an angel is here.
"Oh, sure, I'm fine." Wow, I've had a huge crush on Simon for years, and this was the...
Yeah, I had a crush on a girl once. I was young. I didn't see her again. No, I don't take it the wrong way, guys. I just moved to a different house and went to a different school, alright? That's why I didn't see her.
The perfect moment to finally ask him out. By the way, do you want to go to the beach with me this weekend? "Oh, that sounds good, but I already have a girlfriend, so I can't. I'm sorry." Oh, stupid me. Of course he has a girlfriend. He was the perfect guy after all. But 2 weeks later, our class took a trip to the beach anyway. I couldn't go into the water because of my allergy, of course, so I only played volleyball with my friends, and that's when Pablo came over. How are you? Fine. What do you want? Oh, I still think you're lying about your water allergy, so... That's when he pulled a
Now, kids, remember, be responsible as guns. And if someone says they're allergic to something, you do not test that theory.
water pistol from behind his back and squirted water.
People with ADHD save 10 hours reading articles with this Chrome extension. But no, by all means, go ahead, skip the ad, save a few seconds.
I have to do a lot of reading for my job, emails, reports, write-ups, but sometimes reading can get really tiring. To stay focused, I use a free Chrome extension called Speechify. All I do is highlight the text, right-click, and then Speechify reads it out to me.
SEC data show $359 million of GameStop shares failed to deliver.
I can increase the speed and can pick from a variety of really high-quality voices, which just makes it so much easier to focus. I can now listen twice as fast as I can read, and my eyes don't get strained, especially if I'm working late at night.
Right at my chest. Within seconds, my skin turned red and then I passed out. I woke up again in a hospital where my mom, who told me I had almost died. But guess who else was there? Pablo.
Yeah, I like her face. This is the kind of face I would be making if this had happened to me. Obviously, I'm not allergic to anything. Well, not yet, but I hate to be in this situation.
I wanted to scream at him to go away, but I was too weak. He said, I'm so sorry, Lily. I really thought you were joking when you said...
Joking? Joking? Think she was joking?
Said you were allergic to water. I already told your mom that my dad will pay for your hospital bills, and if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. That piece of garbage. Did he really think he could just say sorry and let his daddy buy his way out of trouble? No.
That's not how it works. That won't even work. If you're trying to get a girl that way, that's not gonna work.
Way! I pressed the buzzer for the nurse and told her to throw Pablo out of my room. But a couple hours later, he sneaked back in, wearing a cheesy mustache.
Okay, now either Pablo said that he's the son of the ruler of Honduras, or the receptionist or nurse is just dumb. Out of the two options, how did he get in the room?
He also brought roses and apologized over and over again. I gotta admit, it was kinda cute to see how hard he was trying to show he was sorry. So I let him stay, and we ended up watching La La Land on his laptop.
Never seen it.
Maybe he was a good guy after all. He even slept on the floor next to my bed at night because he wanted to be near me in case something happened. Well, and then once we walked out of the hospital together, he kissed me, and I let him. I mean, yes, he'd been a jerk, but people can change, right? Our first...
Yeah, people can change. When I was young, my mother was, nice to me, but now over time, she has become a little mean. I don't know, wait, actually I don't know if she sees my videos. Anyways, I'm sure she'll want to find me on here.
First weeks dating were awesome. We hung out at his big mansion that had a tennis court and a private cinema. But over time, his behavior got worse again. He pressured me into wearing sexy clothes and forbid me from seeing my friends.
Yeah, he's being the obsessive boyfriend.
Sometimes he'd even order me to come to his house just so he could make out with me. And once he was done, he would kick me out again. I wasn't going to let him treat me like that.
Yeah.
But when I told him I didn't feel respected and wanted to break up with him, he laughed and said, I don't care how you feel. I promised my dad I'd marry you once I turn 18, and he hates it when people break their promises. So you better play along and be a good, obedient girl. And
Okay, alright. But you are not being a good son, alright? I'm sure your father is so proud of you. And I said that you're sarcasm.
trust me, if my dad finds out that you dared to break up with me, he'll think you disrespected our family and he will take revenge on you. But don't you want to marry a normal girl who isn't allergic to water? You always complain that I smell bad because I can't take showers and have to use powder to clean myself.
Yeah, but
You are pretty and smart. Good enough to...
Well, she does make a good point. Well, okay, yeah. She makes a good point that, of course, she has to have used makeup to clean herself because she can't use a shower or tub. And we just said that, she's smart, yeah. If she's supposed to be a housewife, Yeah, I don't think she needs those knowledges. All she needs to know is cleaning and laundry. Yeah, and cooking. No smart stuff. Probably just being a bad person.
To give my dad some grandchildren and good enough to entertain me for a while. So I stayed with him, even though he openly cheated on me. I would wake up in the middle of the night in our bed and find him making out with another girl. My life sucked bad until I got into university. Because guess who I met there again? My old high school crush, Simon. We got to talking and I asked if he was still with his old girlfriend. No, I broke up with her after she got drunk at a party and cheated on me. Oh, I'm sorry. But wow, she must be stupid to cheat on you. I mean, you are kind of the perfect boyfriend. That's when, without saying a word, Simon pulled me to him and kissed me. I never wanted that kiss to end, but I pushed him away, saying, "Sorry, we shouldn't have done this. I'm still with Pablo, and if he finds out about this, you'll be dead." "I don't care," Simon replied, and we started dating in secret. For a few months,
Dating in secret. Yeah, so, theoretically, she's dating Pablo, but now she's dating Simon. She's probably a hoe. But I take that away, since Pablo is a abusive and neglectful boyfriend. So yeah, I'll let her have this one.
I thought we'd get away with it. But one night Pablo asked me, "I heard you are close friends with Simon from our high school?" "What? No! He's just in one of my classes. I hardly know him." "But Carlos told me he saw you and him holding hands." I responded, "Well, maybe Carlos is lying?" But I could tell Pablo didn't believe me. "You know what I have to do now, and it's all your fault." I started crying, begging him not to hurt Simon, but Pablo pushed me away and ordered 2 of his dad's security guards to follow him. After they left, I rang Simon and told him to immediately leave our city or Pablo would murder him. Simon understood and persuaded me to come with him, so we agreed to meet up at the city bus station. But before I left Pablo's house, I stole 2 small Inca statues. I knew they were made of pure gold, so I hoped they'd helped me and Simon to start a new life. We met at the bus station and fell into each other's arms, kissing passionately. Then we took a bus to Mexico. The whole journey, I worried about Pablo coming after us, but we arrived safely. It took several months to sell the statues, but we got a lot more money for them than I expected. We bought a small house in Mexico, and soon I got pregnant and gave birth to our son. Everything was perfect until one night, masked men broke into our house and took me with them. To make things worse, I have no idea what they did to Simon and my son. They drove me to a small private airstrip, and that's when I realized that Pablo must have tracked me down and was now bringing me back to Honduras. I cried the whole flight, hoping Simon and my son were still alive.
I mean, if I was in that situation, yeah, I'll hope that my children are children and, my wife are, alright. And, this guy ain't a good guy. If you can't catch her, talking about it.
Once I arrived, I was picked up by Pablo. He had a big grin on his face and said, "How are you, my sweetheart?" He tried to hug me, but I pushed him away, screaming, "What have you done to Simon and my baby?" Instead of answering, he just smiled and told me to get into his car. I had no choice, so I did what I was told. When we arrived at his house, I immediately felt like a prisoner. "Now that we are finally reunited, I'm gonna marry you as soon as possible. Let's say tomorrow. And before
Yeah, I would not do that, okay? Pablo is being a bad boy. In fact, yeah, I think as he's growing older, he's being more of an asshole.
you think of saying no, remember, I know where your mom lives." I was devastated. My son and boyfriend were gone, and now I had to marry Pablo. As a sick joke, he even invited my mom to our wedding. She was very happy to see me marry into a rich family because she didn't know how miserable I was. The ceremony was weird. It was only me, Pablo, the pastor, and my mom. At the altar, I asked him, "Why me? Why not some other girl?" "Oh, it's because the more you despise me, the more I feel attracted to you. Now shut up and kiss me."
Ugh, Jesus. Yes, that's just not the way to do it.
That was the beginning of my new life. I was a prisoner in a gilded cage, but actually it wasn't as bad as I had imagined it, because I was still allowed to go out as long as Pablo's bodyguards were with me at all times to make sure I wouldn't run away again. I drove around in armored luxury SUVs to go shopping, but it felt wrong spending Pablo's money because my country is so poor, and I hate—
Yeah, if I were leaving my own country, country was poor, yeah, I would not spend a lot of money if it's poor. About after heard that Honduras is bigger than El Salvador, but has fewer people. Yeah, because of this video, I think I know why it has fewer people. Because it have fewer people because probably a huge part of its population is of homeless people.
hated living in luxury while there were so many kids begging on the streets. Of course, I also didn't forget Simon and my son. I promised myself I'd run away and find out what happened to them, to see if they were still alive. But then the worst thing happened. Pablo had gotten me pregnant.
Oh, great. Pablo baby trapped her.
Now I was trapped. There was no way I'd run away and leave my baby with Pablo, but if I took him with me, Pablo would hunt me down again. Luckily, when I gave birth to my second son, Lucas, Pablo's dad, Emmanuel, started spending a lot of time with us because he wanted to get to know his grandson. And as I got to know Emmanuel, I realized that he was actually a very decent man. That's why I told him how his son Pablo was mistreating me. His reaction surprised me. He said, "Yes, I know that my son is an idiot. He doesn't know how to treat a woman right."
Well, Emmanuel, however you want to say it. Yeah, Pablo's father is theoretically right. Pablo does not know how to treat a woman right. Right, and he's sort of an idiot.
"But I promise that if you raise my grandson well, so he's nothing like his father, I'll make sure he gets my full inheritance." Then he told Pablo to never disrespect me again or he'd regret it. I knew I was part of the family now, and not just some bimbo anymore. Pablo's dad gave me my own house and the baby, as well as a monthly allowance. It's not a bad life, and I love Lucas dearly, but I'm also still thinking a lot about Simon and my first son. I've already tried to contact them, but either they are hiding or dead and in heaven.
My home got sold in...
Alright guys, so that was good. Now we're gonna move on to I became a millionaire and left my terrible dad without a penny. Alright, so now we're getting on to the rich part of the video. So yeah, let's keep going. What's that?
Huh. A video editor for all creators.
What you doing there?
I'm using that.
Hi everyone, I'm Ethan. The day I graduated high school, my dad told me he needed to talk to me. He said, "Are you planning to keep living in this house?" I told him I had nowhere else to go. "I've been taking care of you for years. You need to start working if you want to stay in this house. You either start bringing in some money or find yourself another place to live." I graduated from high school with a high GPA. I wanted to go to college to be able to get a good job later. My family is not doing well financially. I obviously know this, so I was thinking, I'll get a part-time job and...
Hang on guys, I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back.
And I won't be a burden to them. But working part-time meant I could only cover my own expenses. There was no way I could bring in enough money to make my dad happy.
Seriously? Like, why would we care about money? Come on, he has a job, doesn't he? He can earn his own money. Why need to give him money?
So I had to drop out of college. A friend's father owned a moving company. I started working there. They specialized in moving furniture from luxury homes. All of our clients were rich families. Since the furniture was really valuable, we were packing and carrying it very carefully. It was a really stressful job. I had to be super careful all the time. If I were to cause the slightest damage, I would have to work for months without pay. Like my mom, I was giving all the money I was making to my dad. But our financial situation had not changed. We could never pay the rent on time. It was all my dad's fault.
Want to start an online store quickly with products that are ready to sell? Head over to Wix.com.
He was spending a lot of money on himself.
Yeah, he's not being a good father. In fact, he should lose his parental rights.
As soon as I started working, he bought himself a better car. My mom had been complaining about him blowing through money for years. But my dad would just get angry. We couldn't say anything because we were scared of him. One day, we were helping a wealthy client move as usual. The lady who owned the house called me over. We went down to the basement together. She showed me a few pieces of furniture. Pack these up and take them to the truck. The rest is garbage. You can put it all in the trash, she said. First, I carried the items the lady showed me to the truck. Then I started filling up a big bag with the things I was supposed to discard. I came across a roll of paper. Just as I was about to throw it out, I got curious and unrolled it. It was a charcoal drawing. It was simple, but very pretty. I couldn't just throw it away. I went up to the lady. "This is beautiful. Do you really want us to throw it out?" I said. She took a look at the drawing. My grandfather loved art. It must be his. You're right. Throwing it away would be disrespectful to his memory, she said. She rolled up the drawing and put it in her bag. My phone rang while I was at another house a few weeks later. It was my boss. "A client wants to see you. She's in our office now. Can you come over?" he said. I was really scared. Was something lost during a move? Or did we damage some furniture? I thought about all the bad things that could have happened until I got to the office. I stepped into the boss's office. The lady who'd been waiting for me got up with a big smile on her face.
Yeah. The thing is, if you are working at a place that helps out rich people and you cause a damage, you gotta work for months, possibly even weeks or days without pay. That's how bad the world is nowadays.
You remember that drawing you brought me instead of throwing it away? It turned out to be a portrait of my grandfather, and it was made by Picasso. They met in a bar in Madrid. Picasso really liked my grandfather and wanted to give him a gift. He asked the waiter for a pen and paper and drew his portrait. We obviously didn't want to sell it because of its sentimental value. However, my husband and I decided to give you a small reward. "If it hadn't been for you, this drawing would have ended up in the trash," she said. Then she handed me an envelope. I looked at my boss. "I'm proud of you, Ethan," he said with a smile. I was a little embarrassed but took the envelope from her. I left the office and sat on a bench outside. I wanted to know what was inside the envelope. I opened it. There was a check. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the amount on it. It was almost 5 times my annual salary. I thought of my dad right away, and of course my joy quickly turned into sadness. If I gave this money to him, he would spend it all on himself and not on our family. Both my mom and I had been stunned when we saw a gold chain around his neck one day.
Yeah, he probably is, being a gold digger. He's using his family to get money that they normally can't afford, or for his own personal gain.
It was preposterous of him to spend money on something like that when we were having trouble paying our bills. Put yourself in my shoes. If you had such a father and came into some money, would you give it to him?
Nope.
One of my best friends, Travis, is studying economics in college. I gave him a call. I told him I had some money and asked him how to invest it. He's smart as a whip. You called me at the right time. I've been trading tech stocks for a while. It's going really well. If you want, I can do that for you as well, but I have to tell you it's quite risky. There's no middle ground in the stock market. You either lose big or win big, he said. I trusted him, and anyway, that money had fallen into my lap. I'm gonna give you half. The rest will be enough for me to live on, I told him. But unfortunately, things didn't go as well as Travis expected. He quickly burned through the money I gave him.
Yeah, that's the thing with the stock market. It's all, give me money, give me money. I know, I'll give you money. I don't know anything but the stock market, but if someone's gonna give you money in it, it's probably gonna be rare.
He kept calling me to apologize. I didn't even understand why we were losing because I didn't know the first thing about the stock market. But as I said, I trusted Travis. I gave him the rest of my money as well. I got this money because I was lucky. Something tells me I will get lucky again, I said. It turns out I was right. This time, Travis was constantly calling me to give me good news. We were both rich. You know what's really weird? I was getting cash from Travis since I didn't even have a bank account. But where would I keep all that cash? I thought about it for a while and finally decided to hide it in cardboard boxes in our attic. When I'd fill up a box, I'd get another one. My dad would totally lose it if he found out. Our attic was stuffed with money. So much so that
Alright. Hiding money from your gold-digging father. Yeah, that should go well for your part. Nice.
I didn't even know how much money I had. One night, I decided to count all of it. It took me until the morning. As the sun came up, I realized I was a millionaire, and this was only a fraction of my total wealth. I quit my job the next day. I told my boss I had decided to go to college. But it wasn't true. I had begun to think I didn't even need a college education anymore.
Well, whatever you're studying, you will go find a way to, make that money since you can't. That $1,000,000 doesn't last forever. You gotta get a business and have to have a job.
Every morning, I'd leave the house as if I were going to work and hang out with Travis or in a coffee shop. In the evening, I'd come back home as if returning from work. After a while, I bought myself a car just because the attic was too full and I had to get rid of some cash. I actually don't like sports cars very much, but I picked one of the most expensive sports cars so that I could make some room in the attic. There were still a lot of boxes. I bought a huge house to get rid of even more money and make space in the attic. And now I had a place to go during the day as well. You might be wondering why I didn't leave home, why I still continued to live with my family this whole time. I didn't want to leave my mom and my sister alone with my dad. I was sure he was going to treat them worse once I was gone. One evening, my dad said, "Call your mother and sister. I want to talk to all of you." A few minutes later, we were all standing in front of him. "I quit my job today. I've been working for years to keep this family going. I took care of you, but I'm tired now. From now on, I'm not gonna work. You're gonna look after me," he said with a smirk. Then he turned to my sister. "Sheila, you're quitting school too. The free ride you've been getting in this house is over. Everyone has to bring in money," he said. Sheila burst into tears straight away. My mom couldn't keep silent. "I've been working for years just like you. This is all nonsense. Won't you feel any shame loafing around the house while we toil away?" she screamed. When my dad started getting mad and charging towards my mom, I took her by the arm and led her outside. "Mom, don't be upset. I'll save both of you from this man. Give me some time," I said. My mom thanked me, thinking that I was saying these things just to comfort her. After everyone was asleep, I went up into the attic. I took a few photos when the place was filled to the brim with money. Then I spent all night moving the money to my new house. Actually, I should have done this earlier. I kept putting it off, thinking there was no rush. I came back the next morning. I parked my car in front of the house. I honked the horn. First, my mom and sister came out, then my dad. All three of them were staring at me and at the car. I asked my dad, "Do you know whose car this is?" "How should I know? I guess it's your boss's," he said. "No, Dad, this car is mine. I bought it with my own money," I said. My dad couldn't say anything. He was literally speechless. That morning, I'd gone to a print shop and had them print out the photo I took of the attic in poster size. I showed it to my dad. "Does this place look familiar to you?" I asked. Dad stuttered, Is that our attic? Whose money is that?" "Just like this car, I earned all that myself," I said. My dad was stunned. "I'm your father. That money is mine too," he yelled.
Nope, no it's not. Once your son is old enough, it's his money. I got my own bank account. I get money from mother because my mother has baby bonus. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The thing is, if you're a parent, you can't take your child's money. That's your child's money. If it's an allowance and they don't have a bank account, then sure. Excuse me.
I started to laugh as he turned to walk back to the house. He thought the money was still in the attic. The attic is empty now. I moved all of it to my own house last night, I said. As a last resort, my dad started buttering me up. You're my favorite child. I've always been good to you. I'm sure you love me too. That kind of thing. But we both knew none of this was true. It's been 4 months since this happened. Right now, I live with my mom and my sister. My dad calls one of us every single day. Of course, no one answers. To me, he texts, "My dearest son, I love you so much. I miss you a lot." To my sister, he writes, "My beautiful princess, you got me wrong. I'm gonna send you to college."
Yeah, you are giving fake words of love to them, and they aren't gonna listen.
He can't find us since he doesn't know where we live. I'm sure he is really mad at us, but he hides it well, because all he can think about is the money he saw in that photo. He is so naive to think that he could fool me with his fake words of love. I'm so happy I left him without a penny and got out of that house after all he's done to us. I think he more than deserves it.
Alright guys, so time for this next one. This one's called "My Rich Grandfather Left Behind Millions. You'll never guess who got it." So yeah, this is the next one we'll be reacting to. Sorry if I was speechless in the previous one.
Hi friends, my name is Boris. My grandfather passed away last year. He was a very successful realtor. He specialized in expensive properties. That's how he kept building his fortune year after year. He became one of the richest people in the country.
Oh really? Well, wait, hang on. Let me just figure it out. 2020. So probably Elon Musk, but if you are in America. But unfortunately, Elon Musk is still alive, so it can't be him.
He was also known for being a curmudgeon.
I don't even know what that means.
To the point that people avoided making eye contact with him. I rarely saw him smile. He was a good man, but he had a bad temper.
That could be me sometimes.
He became even more intolerable after my grandmother died. He seemed to be trying to take out the pain of losing his wife of 50 years on people around him. My dad has 2 siblings, both brothers. They each have 1 kid, and they're also boys. So my grandfather has 3 sons and 3 grandsons. He bought 4 houses right next to each other. He lived in one of them, and his kids lived in the others. We lived in the house closest to my grandparents. The first thing I did every morning was to visit them. We always had breakfast together. We had a special connection. Unlike my grandfather, my grandmother was very affectionate. She always told me, "Boris, you're a good kid. You're our favorite grandson. I want you to know this. Your grandfather doesn't talk about these things, but you can be sure that he feels the same way about you." Unlike me, my cousins never went to visit them. Once, my older cousin Matt said, "I've never met anyone more obnoxious than Grandpa. If I see him on the street on my way home, I go through the backyard just to avoid him." My other cousin Ben didn't like my grandfather either. He used to say that to his parents and me every chance he got. Even though my grandfather was incredibly wealthy, the only thing he did for his children was to give each of them a house. Other than that, he never gave his sons any money, but my dad never complained about this.
Well, if I'm rich and I get kids, I would not give my kids any pennies because I want them to stand on their own 2 feet.
He always told me, "Your grandfather wanted his kids to stand on their own feet." I'm grateful to him for that. He did the right
Yes, what my kids would say if I'm rich.
right thing. My cousins treated my getting along with my grandparents as a joke. They'd say, they always give us the same gifts for our birthdays. That's how we know your sucking up to our grandfather isn't working. It used to bother me when they'd say stuff like that. But eventually, I realized they were just saying it because they were jealous of me. The prospect of my grandfather leaving me his fortune made them uncomfortable. In fact, they were afraid of it. Before long, my suspicions about my cousins were proven true. My grandfather was diagnosed with lung cancer.
Oh, my family kinda has a connection to cancer. I believe one of my aunts died of cancer. Well, she was in hospital and she kind of looked a bit lifeless. Last time I saw her was in the hospital. I forget when it was, but my father became a only child. Yeah.
I was the first person he told this news. One morning, I went to visit him as I always did. He looked terrible. He obviously hadn't gotten any sleep that night. He showed me his lung x-rays. I'll soon be joining your grandmother. I should be feeling happy about that, but instead I'm afraid. Does this make me a bad husband? He asked. That day, I saw his human side for the first time. That surly old man we were used to was replaced with a nice old man who was afraid of dying. After they found out about my grandfather's illness, my cousins started visiting him all the time. Matt, who used to avoid him, started visiting him several times a day. At first, I thought they changed their attitude because they were sad about him being sick. But soon, their true intentions became clear. They wanted to get a piece of their grandfather's fortune. One evening, Ben called me. He said, "We need to talk." When I got to the coffee shop where we were supposed to meet, Matt was there too. I was wondering what this was about. Matt jumped right in. "Boris, has Grandpa drawn up his will yet? Do you know how he's going to divide the inheritance?" I was shocked. It disturbed me so much that while he was struggling with cancer, my cousins were after his money. "I have no idea, and I don't care," I said. "In fact, I find it really odd that this is what you're thinking about right now. I don't think this is right," I went on. Ben said, "Of course you're not worried. You did everything you could to get along with Grandpa. And what about us? How are we going to get our money?"
You be king of your own. Don't rely on others. I know that. Even though I'm given, money will work if I'm lucky enough. Around the house. But you guys stand on your own 2 feet. Just can't rely on others' money.
I didn't like the way he was talking. "What are you talking about? I loved Grandma and I love Grandpa. That's why I always had a good relationship with them." Matt said, "I'm really curious about what you could love about Grandpa. You're not fooling us. We know what you're up to. Do you think we're stupid?" Now this was too much. My grandfather is struggling with a terrible disease. I couldn't care less about the will or the inheritance. I just want him to live as long as possible. I don't care what you think. You only remind me of vultures, I said, and left.
Yeah, I think they're acting like vultures. I think I know what he means, but I'm not sure how I can explain it to you guys.
I wish I'd never seen their faces again after that day. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible.
Haven't played Crossout before? Now is the time. Crossout is a free action-packed game where you craft...
I visited my grandfather more often now because I wanted to spend more time with him. Every time I went over there, Matt or Ben were there. One would leave and the other would show up. I can't even tell you how fake they were. "Grandpa, I made coffee for you. Grandpa, I brought you a pillow so you'll be comfortable. Grandpa, do you want to watch a movie?"
Okay, now, yeah, this is obviously, they're obviously fake.
Disgusted by them because I knew what they
Now,
were.
I don't mean like the characters don't exist. Oh, come on. I mean, like they don't exist for the, like the characters don't exist. I mean, like they're acting fake. They just want the money. They're gold diggers.
Up to. But I wasn't about to tell my grandfather any of this. It would be so unfair to burden him with something like this. In fact, my grandfather seemed happy with what was going on. It was weird, but he was always chatting with them. I guess he had softened up since he didn't have a lot of time left. My cousins were taking advantage of this change. They were naturally very happy that he was treating them well. They were now sure that he would include them in his will. And they had probably started making plans about what to do with the money that they would inherit. One morning, what I was fearing finally happened. I knocked on my grandfather's door. He didn't answer. I rang the bell for a long time, still nothing. I guess because I was expecting this, I knew right away that we'd lost him. The next day, my cousins were already talking about money. I was right behind them at the funeral. They didn't notice that I was there. Matt said, the lawyer just called my dad. He told the whole family to come to his office tomorrow. He's gonna read my grandfather's will. Ben giggled, saying, yes, we're gonna be rich tomorrow. I didn't want to go to the lawyer's office. I told this to my father that night. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, your grandfather instructed his lawyer to read his will in front of the whole family. I think he donated all of his money to charity. Your uncles also think so. So tomorrow we'll all be there just as a formality. I agreed to go. Plus, it would be fun to see how upset my cousins would get once their dreams of getting rich got crushed. We were in the lawyer's office early next morning. 3 sons, 3 daughters-in-law, and of course, 3 grandsons. Ben leaned towards me. He whispered, for years, you put up with Grandpa for nothing. See, we made it to the same level as you in just 4 months. I think he even liked us more than you. We'll find out in a minute. When the lawyer took out the will, I glanced towards Matt and Ben. They were giddy with excitement. The lawyer began reading the document. My dear family, right now I'm with my beloved wife. I don't think you're gonna miss an ill-tempered old man like me. I'm not gonna take much of your time with this silly will business. I'll dive right in. You know, life has been very generous with me, and I've amassed a substantial fortune. My dear sons, I didn't let you live a rich man's life because I wanted you to stand on your own 2 feet. You understood me well, and you did everything on your own. I don't think you need any more money. Please continue in the same manner. I love you and my daughters-in-law very much. After the lawyer read all this, I saw my dad and my uncle smile. My older...
Okay. Now, of course, if your parents are rich and they don't give you any pennies, well, not because you're being a bad child, it's because they want you to stand on your own 2 feet. My family's practically not rich and is average. So that's why I'm saying I probably may be rich and will let my kids stand on their own 2 feet.
Older uncle said, just as would be expected of Dad. You didn't surprise us. We love you too. Our dear Dad, rest in peace. Meanwhile, Matt and Ben were holding their breath, waiting without a peep. The lawyer kept reading the will. After they found out about my illness, my dear grandsons Matt and Ben remembered that they actually had a grandfather. I have to admit that it was most entertaining to watch you falling all over me to get a slice of the inheritance. I guess you took me for a naive old man. I didn't say anything because I know I'm not easy to deal with. I see it as punishment enough for you to have acted like you liked me. The parents started laughing when they heard this. Matt's mom said, look at these little devils. We weren't even aware of this. They've been after the inheritance. Matt and Ben turned bright red. Nonsense. We were taking care of Grandpa because he was sick. They started babbling unconvincingly. We're almost done. Let me finish, the lawyer said, and kept on reading. And finally, my dear grandson Boris, you've been close to your grandmother and me since the day you started walking. I know I didn't give you enough attention, but you're a good kid. I know you will forgive me for it. Even though I know you loved us without expecting anything in return, I still want to give you a present. When you turn 18, I want you to use half of my fortune to set up a foundation and run it. The foundation is to provide scholarships for poor children and make sure they get a good education. The other half of my fortune is yours. I only have one condition. You are not to give anything to Ben or Matt, so that they learn their lesson. This was totally unexpected on my part. I was so proud that my grandfather trusted me with the responsibility of running such an organization, and I wouldn't have to work, thanks to the money he left me, which meant I could dedicate all of my time to the foundation. Needless to say, That day was a huge disappointment for my cousins. It took them a long time to get over it. Now they're both studying to get into college. My grandfather always said, "You can't take an elevator up to success. You can only reach it by climbing the stairs step by step."
Okay, now I'm gonna translate what he just said. Basically saying that you get to success easily. You have to get to it by hard work.
Yes, you can't earn anything easily by taking a shortcut. My grandfather showed this to us in a very effective way. I remember.
Alright, next one we're gonna be doing is called I Became a Millionaire and My Evil Stepdad Begged Me to Help Him. So yeah, let's just dive into this. I'm sorry if I'm a bit quiet since I want you guys to hear this and get your own opinion on it. So make sure to comment what you guys think about this. Also, I just checked and I have my first fan on this channel. So yeah, if you like the content I make sure to subscribe. And get me up to 1 million subscribers. And try to make me to be as popular as 10 Make sure to share it with your friends.
Everyone, my name is Isabel. A few years ago, my dad had a heart attack at work and passed away. His sudden death changed our lives forever. My mom had no job and no marketable skills either. We had some money saved up from when my dad had been working. At first, we were getting by on that, but soon that money ran out and things got bad. We weren't able to pay our bills. One day, my mom said to me, "Isabel, I want to talk to you about something important. Our landlord Ted wants to marry me." He divorced his wife 4 years ago. He has 2 daughters, but they live with their mom. I don't know him that well, but he seems like a good person. I'm going to say yes. I'm doing this for both of us. Please try to understand me. My mom is a really beautiful woman. I had only seen this man once before. He's 10 or 15 years older than my mom. He knew we were having money problems since we weren't able to pay the rent. He was trying to take advantage of my mom. No matter how much I pleaded with her, my mom wouldn't listen to me and married him. As I got to know him better, it became clear that my mom had made a big mistake. Ted was an arrogant man who talked about his money all the time. He was living on the rent money he got from his properties. He had no other job. He was home all day. He was clearly using my mom as his maid. For example, every Sunday, he would hand my mom a list. It spelled out one by one all the dishes my mom had to cook for lunch and dinner that week. He would grade each dish after every meal. And he wasn't very generous with the grades either. The worst part was that the whole time he would talk about how good his ex-wife's cooking was.
Sorry about that. Good.
My mom really wanted me to get along with Ted. I decided I would try to do my best. I saved up my allowance to buy him a nice pen for his birthday. My mom was insisting that I call him Dad. I wrote a little note saying, "To my dad with love," and put it inside the gift box. Ted frowned when he saw the note. "I think it's too early for you to call me Dad. First, you need to prove to me that you are my daughter," he said. I was so upset. I glanced at my mom. She felt terrible too. It was around that time that something happened that made things even worse. I woke up one morning and saw that there was another girl around my age at home. It was Ted's younger daughter, Pia. She'd had a huge fight with her mom, so she had decided to move in with us. I'd just gotten a stepfather, and now I had a stepsister too. At first, I thought maybe we could be friends, but unfortunately, Pia turned out to be just like her dad. One evening, she yelled to my mom, "Your food is too greasy. I gained weight because of you." But she was already chubby when she arrived. I think that she's been like that since she was a kid. She made that up just to blame my mom. The thing that annoyed me the most about Pia was that she was extremely jealous. She was so jealous of me and she didn't even feel the need to hide it. I'll give you one example. I had an orange dress. One day my mom had commented, "This dress looks good on you," and I said, "Yes, I love it too." When I wanted to put on that dress again a few weeks later, I saw that there was a huge hole right on the front.
Yeah, that's taking jealousy to the next level, as far as I know.
Furious, I went to Pia and screamed, "Did you do this?" She smirked and said, "Of course I did. Who else?" After Pia began living with us, Ted started treating me even worse. Pia didn't go to college because her grades were bad. I, on the other hand, was a good student. I wanted to study psychology in college. I was talking to my mom about it. She went and told Ted. He came to me and said, "Don't even dream of going to college. You're not smart enough for that."
Wow, what a meanie. I wonder it says Evo. But I don't think all step-parents are that bad. Alright, now, my friend Ron, who is my boyfriend, well, my mother thinks that he is my stepfather. Well, I don't really think so. I see him as just a friend. You can leave your opinion on that one.
Night I cried until morning. I had to get out of that house, but I couldn't see any way of doing that. One day, the miracle that I needed happened. My phone rang. The person on the line said, "I'm your grandmother. I would like to meet you and your mom if you let me." We met up the next day. When my dad was only 4 years old, my grandmother abandoned him. He never forgave her for that. In the years that followed, she tried to get in touch with him many times, but my dad refused to communicate with her. She told us all
tough love. Yeah, that's probably gonna be me when I move out. I don't really like my mother much.
About this in tears. He was right because I'd left him. I have immense regret. However, unfortunately, it's not possible to turn back time. My grandmother had just recently found out that my dad had died. She thought we might be able to use some help with money, so she tracked us down and finally reached me. She told us, "My second husband was very wealthy. I lost him last year. I have no one to share this fortune with. Do you want to move in with me?" she asked. My mom was pregnant at that time. She said, "I have a new family now, but I know Isabel is not happy. She can live with you if she likes." My grandmother seemed like a really nice person. Even if she wasn't,
Starting an online store is easier than you think. Let me show you how to quickly open one with Shopify.
still move in with her, since my stepfather and stepsister were making my life unbearable. I agreed right away. That night, I said goodbye to my mom and left home. My grandmother was really wealthy. She lived in a magnificent mansion. The best part was that she was even kinder than I thought. She kept telling me, "I feel like I've been born again. Isabel, I'm so grateful to you for making me feel this way. I'll send you to the best schools. Eventually, all this will belong to you anyway."
Warmness to a grandparent. I have two grandparents. One from my mother's side, one from my father's side. Well, directly, one my parents' parent is actually dead. That's my grandpa Dave. Look, when it comes to Christmas, well, it's not a very good story to talk about since we lost Uncle Dave in 2019 on Christmas. Yeah, it's a tough time. But my father's parents are still around. They were born in the 40s. My grandmother was born in the 50s, so yeah. My father's parents are actually not boomers. And actually not declared Cold War babies. They're called war babies. I don't know what to call it. Alright, continuing.
I didn't care about being rich. I was at peace now. And that was more valuable to me than all the money in the world. That summer, something unexpected happened. My grandmother suddenly died after an accident. She went out on a tour of the Greek islands with her close friends. While swimming in the sea, a poisonous fish stung her. They didn't make it to the hospital in time. She died on the way. I was incredibly sad. She had once told me, "When I die, I'd like you to build a school so that my name can live on." I immediately got to work to make her wish come true. My mom and I talked on the phone a lot. She had her baby. I had a brother now. I think she wasn't happy at all, and her husband continued to treat her badly, but she still never mentioned anything to me. I told her, "Come live here with me. You don't have to put up with that man." But she wouldn't listen to me. My mom is a good-natured person and a loyal wife. Ted was taking advantage of her qualities. One day, my mom called me. She sounded very sad. "Your stepdad wants to visit you," she said. "No way! I don't want anything to do with him," I yelled. My mom said, "Isabel, this is really important. Will you please see him for me?" I couldn't say no. I wondered what he wanted from me. Ted came over the next day. He wasn't that smug, arrogant man anymore. When he said, "Isabel, we don't get along too well, but I still like you very much," I couldn't help but smirk. That was an outright lie. Still, I didn't say anything. "Perhaps your mother has told you. My daughter Pia has a very rare, very severe type of muscle disorder," he went on. I was shocked. I said, "No, I had no idea." Apparently, my mom had kept this from me so as not to upset me with her own troubles. My stepdad looked into my eyes and said, "My daughter is dying, Isabel. I came here to ask for your help." I knew Ted had a lot of money, so I was confused. "What exactly do you want from me?" I asked. "There's a drug for Pia's condition. A single dose will be enough to cure her, but this is the most expensive drug in the world. It's only produced for 20 people every year. I sold all my properties, but I still only have enough money to cover half of its cost. Please help me with the rest. My daughter can't move at all right now. When it gets to her heart muscle, she'll be dead. I beg you, help us." After he said all that, my stepdad started sobbing. Neither Ted nor Pia is a good person. You know this already. Ted ruined both my and my mom's life. My grandmother saved me from that house. What would have happened to me if I'd stayed there? Would you help them if you were in my place? You probably would. Without even thinking, I told him, "I'll give you the money you need," but I couldn't stop myself. "I don't think you deserve it, but I'll still help you," I continued. Ted started crying again. "You're right, I don't deserve it. I know it as well as you," he said. I was so sad to see Pia. She was all skin and bone. She couldn't even move her eyeballs, but she was conscious. I whispered into her ear, "You will be fine, but please be a better person in your new life." Even though I didn't want to say things like that, I couldn't help myself. The drug was really expensive, but just as my stepdad had said, a single dose was enough to cure her disorder. Her condition is improving every day. Even though she still can't talk, I can see her thanking me with her eyes. Meanwhile, my stepdad Ted changed a lot. Since he was so deeply shaken by this, he's no longer hostile. My mom, of course, is really happy about his new behavior. I'm busy with the construction of the school that I'm building in my grandmother's name. My stepfather comes to help with the construction, not expecting anything in return. I don't think I'll ever have a close relationship with him, but at least now I can rest easy, knowing that he will no longer treat my mom badly.
Alright, now we're gonna be reacting to I Became a Millionaire and Hid It From My Evil Stepmother. We did the evil stepdad, now doing evil stepmom. Here we go.
Hey everyone, I'm Bree. I'm 16.
So am
My
I.
mom left me when I was just a baby. I never knew her.
Well, that's bad when a parent leaves you.
My dad says she couldn't handle the responsibility of raising a child because she was too young. One morning, she went out to the grocery store and never came back. My grandmother raised me. My dad would visit us often, but it was my grandmother who was my real parent. The time I lived with her were the best years of my life. When I was 12, my dad remarried. His new wife had a daughter the same age. My dad took me to their house to meet them. I stayed there for one night. His new wife completely ignored me. Her daughter Sadie was only interested in her phone. It was pretty obvious that neither of them liked me. But I didn't care because I thought I would never have to live with them. But unfortunately, when my grandmother passed away last year, I had to move in with them.
Oh come. Seriously, the last video I just saw, I had a grandmother die. See? Like, can all these loving grandmas please stop dying? Can the evil parents just die already? See? Now I'm talking about my mother, but so where I'm at right now, she won't know who I am.
My stepmother started treating me badly from day one. She made me do all the housework. I even had to clean Sadie's room. She was incredibly mean to me. For example, during breakfast, she'd say, "Aren't you full yet? You've had enough to eat. Go take out the trash." I was really unhappy, but I didn't tell my dad about it so as not to upset him. He was working in the finance department of a big real estate developer. The finance manager transferred hundreds of thousands of dollars into his personal account. My dad didn't know anything about it, but he got arrested anyway. He didn't have the money to hire a good lawyer, so he ended up going to jail. My life was...
Come on, the photo was nice. Why? Wait, why the finance manager have to do this? The finance manager is an evil crook. That's what he is.
Wasn't going great to begin with, and when my dad went to jail, things got even worse. One day my stepmother told me, "We're broke because of your father. You need to quit school and start working. If you want to live here, you need to bring in money." So I had to drop out of school. Of course, this rule did not apply to my stepmother's daughter. Sadie kept going to school, but I had to get a job at a call center.
You are obviously the hated child.
Since I had to deal with one stressful event after another, I got acne all over my face. I couldn't recognize myself in the mirror. The people I worked with looked at me with pity. There was this guy I liked. One day I heard him mocking me, saying, "This girl shouldn't leave the house. She has no right to make the rest of us uncomfortable." I was really devastated. I couldn't sleep that night. I cried for a long time. I wanted to go to a dermatologist, but I couldn't afford to. I was giving all the money I earned to my stepmother as soon as I got it.
Okay, what on earth is this? What is she supposed to be? The tax collector? Oh yeah, probably like, yeah, someone is like, "Oh hi, you're a tax man, give me 100% of your paycheck." Heck, yeah, it's just horrible life. If that actually was a country, everyone would be dirt poor. Not even that. No one would be able to pay. No one would be able to pay. Well, pay for rent and food and stuff like that. It would be hell. Yeah, it'd be hell, and the country, the people rise against the country and things would be better. But just saying.
Acne was getting worse every day. I thought I should at least try some natural remedies. There were so many formulas for anti-acne face masks online. I picked one that used ingredients I could easily find. I just needed almond oil, apple cider vinegar, and honey. I borrowed money from a friend to buy these. That night, I made a mixture and put it on. But when I washed my face in the morning, I was disappointed to see it hadn't worked at all. My grandmother would always say, "Nature has a cure for everything."
Well, directly, we did wipe our asses with leaves back then instead of toilet paper. We ate berries and not processed food back then. We didn't have heating, and we had to cook over fires made of wood. Yeah, basically back then we relied on nature. Then technology came along, and well, our lives are now better. Yeah, I'm actually one who just loves the modern day life with the technology we have and the advances of it.
I began reading everything I could find about natural treatments for acne. For example, do you know why many formulas use apple cider vinegar? Because vinegar is very effective against bacteria and fungi. As I learned more, I started to believe I could develop my own formula. I was testing new face masks on myself all the time. Although some of them were somewhat effective, I still had acne. One day, as I was doing research, I came across some information about a plant I'd never heard of. Women in rural areas use this plant to regulate their hormones during pregnancy. I thought it could work because one of the main causes of acne is hormones. I looked all over the city and I found the dried leaves of this plant in a little shop. That evening, I prepared a new face mask using the leaves and applied it. When I woke up in the morning, I ran to the bathroom to wash my face. When I removed the mask, I was amazed. My acne was completely gone. There was someone else in the mirror.
If any of you guys know about this product, make sure to let me know where I can find it, just in case I get acne. Alright? Also, you can also send me tips of, well, how to make a face mask, or maybe, maybe I could also look up a video on how to make a face mask, okay? I just want to get this thing in case I get acne. You know, the face mask thing, not the acne, alright?
I don't usually cry much, but that morning I bawled my eyes out from happiness. Everyone at work was surprised. They asked me how I did it, but I didn't tell them my secret. I had a friend who had an acne problem like me. I had brought the mixture for her to try. I told her, put this on your face tonight before you go to sleep. Let's see if it works for you. Next morning, I woke up because my phone was ringing. My friend was video calling me. She was so excited. There's not one spot left on my face. Bree, this is the magic cure. You can become a millionaire selling this stuff, and you'll deserve every penny, she said, thanking me over.
Well, she is right. She would deserve every penny and not her evil stepmom.
Over and over again. I had developed a plant-based formula that makes acne disappear after just one use. I thought I really could get rich. I made an Instagram account. I sent the link to my friend and asked for her opinion. She shared my Instagram account with everyone she knew. She wrote, "This worked wonders for me. Get it if you have an acne problem." That night, I made 6 sales over Instagram. The next day, I sold 13.
Whoa.
The numbers kept growing. A month later, I was getting nearly 100 orders a day. People wanted even more, but I couldn't produce the masks fast enough. Why? Because I could only work at night so that my stepmother and Sadie wouldn't find out. During the day, I was still working at the call center. I was making a ton of money. I was hiding it all in my room because I had nowhere else to keep it. I had a teddy bear that I got from my ex as a birthday present. I took out all the stuffing and filled it with money. Then I neatly sewed it back. The money kept coming in. I bought another teddy bear. I stuffed it with money just like the other one. I kept buying more and more and ended up with 13 teddy bears in my room. I had to find another hiding place soon because having that many teddy bears didn't look normal.
I don't know, I got a lot of stuffies and I'm alright. Just to let you guys know, I am autistic. I actually have autism spectrum disorder and I'm out learning delay. So the fact that I have this and giving this reaction video is giving you some showing that autistic people have a place in this world on YouTube, even if we see the world differently.
After a while, my worst fear came true. My stepmother called.
You got your boyfriend and he got you pregnant, and your stepmom took a blood sample from you and found out that you're pregnant and gonna kill you and bury you alive and piss on the grave and kill you from beyond the grave. Yeah, that's what my father would do. Actually, he would cut off my dick if I got a woman pregnant before he was 50 and I was married and out of high school.
Called me while I was at work. I picked up the phone. "What is this money inside a teddy bear? Is that yours?" she asked. I was caught by surprise, so I said something ridiculous. My stepmother said angrily, "My friend's son had an appendectomy. Sadie said..."
Hold on, guys. I'm coming, Ma!
All these teddy bears in your room. We thought we could bring one of them to the boy as a gift. While he was playing, he realized it was full of money. Whose money is this? You'll have to explain this to me tonight. was in such a panic. I ran out of work and jumped into a cab. I was going home.
Well, you could also do Uber.
My stepmother was still at the hospital. I could move the money somewhere safe before she got back. Good plan, but where would I take it? I had an idea. There was someone I could ask for help. I called the friend who was so grateful to me for treating her acne and was thanking me every chance she got. I told her briefly about what was happening. "I'll do whatever you want. I'd be so happy to help you," she said. She paused for a moment and screamed, "I have a great idea! I have to speak with my dad right now!" I was so relieved when I got home because no one was there. 15 minutes later, my friend and her dad arrived in a huge RV. We carried the teddy bears to the RV together. My friend's dad said, "Thanks to you, my daughter got her life back. We're so grateful to you." We went to an RV park all the way across the city. My friend and her dad got in a cab and went home. Yes, this was my friend's idea. I was going to live in their RV for a while. I was feeling really good about myself because from now on, I could do whatever I wanted. I got rid of my old phone so that my stepmother wouldn't be able to reach me and got a new one. I had something important I had to do. I searched online for a lawyer and found one. I met him in his office the next day. I ended up hiring him to look into my dad's case. My stepmother wouldn't tell me where my father was being detained so that I wouldn't be able to visit him. So first off, the lawyer had to find out where my dad was. Then I went and bought a whole bunch of the ingredients I used to make the acne mask.
Okay, I think I could solve it here, but this is the animal just given the guess. It probably has apple cider vinegar and the leaves. I don't know what they are. I can search it up. I can even look for the cream.
I was going to convert the RV into a small lab. Meanwhile, the lawyer called. He found out which facility my dad was kept in. "If you want to visit him, I can come and pick you up in an hour," he said. I'd missed my dad so much. The second I saw him in his prison clothes, I started crying. The lawyer left us alone. I told my dad everything. He was so sad to hear what I'd gone through. He said, "Your stepmother never comes to visit me. I was so worried about you because I had no way of knowing how you were. I'm going to divorce her as soon as I leave this place and I'll be a better father to you." And he hugged me. Then we talked to the lawyer. He said that there wasn't enough evidence to keep my father in jail. Our lawyer turned out to be really good. He quickly found many witnesses to prove that my dad was innocent. After he got out of prison, my dad and I lived in the RV for a while. I was really rich now. We bought a 3-story house. I turned the entire top floor into a lab. I hired 4 people. Sorry, 5, because my friend who helped me out is now working with me as well. We can now produce 800 acne masks per day. My dad took some time to get himself together and then went to meet my stepmother. She started crying, saying, "I always loved Bree so much. Bring her back home. We can be the happiest family in the world." My dad said that wasn't an option anymore and that he was going to file for divorce as soon as possible. She kept saying, "I beg you, please give me a chance. I missed you and Bree so much," lying to his face. My dad yelled, "Enough! How dumb do you think we are? You're only after Bree's money," and left her right there. My stepmother is still texting my dad several times a day, but thankfully my dad finally saw her true self. He's not buying her cheap lies anymore. If you liked my story, please don't forget to like this video. Thanks so much for
Alright guys, that'll be the last video I'll be doing. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Hello, Mom.
Susan, how are you? Where's my son? Why's your wallet out?
I was just checking how much money I have. Otherwise, peace.